trusty iron horse. It's going to carry us about 75 kilometers today from beautiful Budapest into the countryside. We're going to be traveling along the river on mainly bike paths, and we're really looking forward to it. The day is just lovely. Unfortunately, we don't have a tailwind, but we don't have a strong headwind either, and the weather is just glorious. No rain for the next week, that's what it's saying, even though south of here they're getting biblical rain. Biblical. So I really don't want to leave Budapest. It's just lovely. It's just lovely.
I just had to show you these like little jetties that you'll see all along the roadway here. They're so cute, and they've all got different designs. You see some that are overgrown through there as well. I don't know if you'll see the one. Can you see just here? There's one off to the side there as well. And oh, there's got to be like 50 to 100 of them. They're incredible.
This has been beautiful, quiet town just off the Eurovelo next to the Danube. And you know, you can see that people live here their entire lives, you know, and it's lovely, you know, quiet winding streets, houses that are falling down, houses are being renovated. It's got 3 little shopping centres. If you combine them all, they'd be the size of one normal size shopping centre. And you know, a lot of bars and stuff like that.
And a bakery.
And there's one bakery that does a roaring trade. It's probably 500-600 people. They've got a school. It's really nice. It's been here forever. You can just tell it's been here forever. Some of the buildings look more like growths than man-made structures. Anyway, it's beautiful. Today we're don't know what we're going to do. The accommodation further on there's not any accommodation. So we don't quite know what we're going to do. So we're going to meander and see where the day takes us.
the bikies. And that's the thing over there. There's like an indoor swimming pool, and then outdoor, and down the front here there's like the thermal baths and everything. It's quite different, and there was a DJ playing in the front there. Last night there's like a cafe and bar.
Well, it's the start of a new day and it was an interesting night. So we stayed at this camping ground which also has thermal baths attached to it. And of course, because you know, camping grounds everywhere have discos, so there was a disco for most of the night, and that was really good. It was about between 50 and 60 Australian dollars to stay there. That gave you access to all the stuff inside the thermal baths, and it was a good night's sleep. There was water at the campsite, Wi-Fi, and electricity, so it was good access to all amenities. And it was really weird because most people here are over 50, and it was just like you're going to visit your grandparents, even though most of them can't speak English, although some of them can. They're all very friendly and all very like interested in what you're doing.
I really liked the cultural experience, and in the night time Charlie actually spotted glowworms up in the tree above our tent. So that was really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. But there's definitely a cultural experience here. They've also got like a camp kitchen with microwave, gas stoves, fridges, water supply, power as he mentioned, and like indoor and outdoor pools, and it's really cool. So if you are coming to this area, come for a cultural experience. There's everyone like lounging around like Labradors, wallowing in the water and enjoying life. It's nice.
Okay, we've been on the road for about an hour and a half now. It's been rolling hills and nice, no wind, warm day, not too much traffic. It's a Sunday, so not much is opened. So we've stopped here, which looks like a fruit shop. It's the only thing that's open in town by the looks of it. See if we can get some watermelon.
It's a very, very big apartment. Charlie's just putting the bikes away downstairs. Here's the shower. And yeah.
We're going to a talk in another language because this is the way, you know, the Kraken sets things up about submarines. That's in another language, Hungarian, which we speak not a single word of.
Főleg. És viszont ez, hogy az ellenségnek egy kereskedelmi hajóját megsemmisíti, ez innentől kezdve, mert ugye ez elvileg civil hajó.
We're leaving Baja. It's a beautiful old town, and it's got a grand square that kind of reminds me of Lisbon's Grand Square, which is on the Danube. This is just one of the side streets. It's beautiful. There's a big church right next to me. Fountain, running water. It just sounds lovely. Today we have like 74 kilometers to ride towards the border with Serbia. So we won't go over the border with Serbia today, although we could. But we're going to be riding along a dike for most of this way. So hopefully that means it'll be beautiful. And we're riding against the wind. So that's why we're stopping before the border, because PJ's like, I'm not riding any further against the wind. That's just it, you know. And it's very hot. It's 34 degrees today. It feels like 38. So anyway, having a great time. This is a great place. You should do this. Life's too short.
Can you see the little ferry? And it's got a little pulley. See, there's somebody getting on now. There he is. Charlie reckons, he's saying, I think you pull it over yourself. Oh, that is super cool. It looks big enough to take a car, actually. I wonder if it does. Anywho, back to cycling. What do you think of the path so far?
It's okay, but it would be good if it had some more sort of amenities, like a chair or a table or something like that. It's lovely, but it's a bit featureless.
When you start this section of the Eurovelo 6, there's a few potholes and it feels a little bit rough, but then it smooths right out, and before you know it, it's smooth. So don't be put off when you start your way through. So this is the town where we're going to turn inland because we're going to stay close to the border of Serbia tonight. And there's a ferry crossing to quite a large town on the other side of the river here. I'll put a map there. Charlie just overshot it, so he's riding back. And as you can see, it's a town. There's only one grocery store and thankfully it's open. But here's sort of like the intersection.
We're all packed and we're ready to go at the crack of 11. So we're heading off to the border now. So we're going to be leaving this country and moving into Serbia. So from Hungary to Serbia. And we're just going to be riding along the Danube today. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be lovely. Slightly downhill, like if you use your imagination. And it feels like the wind's going to be coming from behind us. Now, I don't want to jinx us, but that's what it feels like. So we better head off or we won't get out of here by 11, even though checkout was 10.
So we've reached Serbia and we've just stopped for lunch. If you've ever got the chance to try this, try it. It's like delicious capsicum-y goodness. You can use it as a sauce. I'm actually using it as a dip because, you know, that's how I roll. and I've got little tortilla chips. Not very healthy. Here comes Charlie. There he is. Hi.
Healthy meal.
Yeah. So we've just gone through the border control process. Charles, do you want to give us a sense of what it was like?
It was really easy. It was like, they looked very bored and they just put us through. It was good. And it definitely looks poorer this side of the border. The first town you go through looks like it's almost falling into ruin.
There's some pretty cool old buildings, and the fact that they're sort of breaking down means you can see the old traditional construction methods. Where they've, what were you calling it? It was like wattle and daub.
Yeah, wattle and daub
style, you know, with the little thatched.
These are for the outside walls.
Yeah, and and on the, so you go through 2 checkpoints, obviously, one to leave Hungary and one to enter Serbia. And here's a map there. And when we got to the Serbian side, there seems to be like a pet dog that's hanging out with the Serbian border control people, and it likes to chase bicycles. So don't be surprised if a little dog like runs after you, barking at you as you leave. Interesting. And now we're heading south on the Eurovelo 6. It's a beautiful day.
We just did a little detour. The track that we were going down, it was rideable. It was fine, actually. Hard packed dirt. After about 2 kilometers of that, it turned into very, very loose sand, like, you know, maybe 10 centimeters deep. Unrideable, you know, so we turned around and came back, and now we're doing a bitumen road detour. They're like donuts, but very chewy.
today we're setting off from this beautiful little place and heading to the bustling metropolis of Novi Sad. And apparently it's got like vegan cafes and cool funky things and great architecture. So we're looking forward to a good ride beside the river and through into a really cool city.
I'm as happy as Larry. We just did a back road and it was like very pothole dirt and a lot of corrugations, and then we got to a stone road, like, so yeah, they'd repaved it in stone, and then there was quite a substantial bridge that was paved in stone, and then we went on to this very rickety sort of bitumen road, and then the bitumen road got better and better, and then it turned into a double lane. But the entire way along you had this assembly of like old school farm. The road was quite busy, even though it was dirt and everything. It was just like old tractors and old like sort of Russian, farm vehicles pulling an assortment of trailers and all this sort of stuff. So it was really sort of bulk interesting. A bit dusty, but very interesting.
What is that? Here are some very old dragon teeth. 1941. Here's the view of the river from the Eurovelo 6, and for the last kilometre there's been these little holiday homes dotted along. How is that for a tree house? Can you see it up on the stilts? This is beside the path.
We think our army stock is old. Wait until you see some of this stuff. It looks like it all should be in a museum or in a rubbish tip.
We are in Novi Sad and we're going to dinner. What's it like, Charlie?
It's really lovely, like really nice. The weather is just perfect, like it's perfect weather. And it's just lots to look at.
Live music, old buildings, it's pretty cool.
Sladkie czereśnie, a wonia koni. Skusował są dobroty do sveta. Malo jače druge vokale. Vjerovi ma popraviti posla.
Levente, Stodereci, Aleksandra Radulović. Dziękuję. Ajmo još jedan.
We just had a break, like 3 nights off in Belgrade, and it's been okay, although I'd say the cycling infrastructure of the city needs some work. Like all breaks, it's a bit hard to get back on the flow, so we're setting out at the crack of 11:30 to
After
ride
some admin for you.
to ride to Kovan, right? So that's towards the Romanian border, but still in Serbia. And we have been led to believe it's along a dike along the river. So we're on the western side of the city now, so we have to ride back through the city, go over the bridge and onto the unpopulated side of the river, the northern side of the river, and ride along a dike. And it looks like we're going to be riding into the teeth of the wind. So that'll be a lot of complaining from little miss. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to get back on the bike. We'll probably have lunch when we get into town, and then we'll have an afternoon of riding against the wind. And we'll really appreciate our sleep. I couldn't sleep last night. Not enough activity yesterday.
To be sure, chaos in my mind, constant deja vu. But every time it comes back to you.
I want to stress that Belgrade is not a cycling town. Yes, they do have some cycling paths, but they're not an integrated network, and they don't really. And the drivers are not very polite. And a great example of that is there's one bridge that goes to the northern side of the river, and it's just shockingly bad. Like, you know, some parts you're riding in the dirt on a single track, and then other parts you're riding on the most broken footpath you've ever seen, where, you know, your entire bike could disappear into the into one of the potholes. Right next to you, the road is fine. Like they obviously cater to cars, but push bikers and pedestrians, you're on your own.
And they put the road hazard signage on the footpath, so you've got this like really skinny.
Yeah, so you've got a skinny, tiny footpath that's pockmarked and potholed, and then all the road hazard they put right in the middle, so it becomes even harder to navigate. That was just going across the bridge, and then, you know, signage is...
Eurovelo 6 signage, no.
Oh, there's right there.
First 6. One.
Yeah, first one. And, but, you know, it's just, you're riding through the town, you just feel like you're going to get run over at any moment. And there's a whole lot of places where there's stairs, but there's no way to get the bike up there. You know, like there's just, you know, the roads are so busy, they don't give you any sort of pedestrian crossing, so they give you an underpass. But, you know, it stairs down and stairs up, and it's just not very much fun. So I would avoid this if I was going to come here on I wish we hadn't stayed here for 3 days, 3 nights. I wish we'd gone somewhere else, because, you know, I like to ride when we're here, and it was just terrifying.
If you follow the directions, you end up at a dead end, and then it brings you up to here. You have to throw your bike and the bags over the guardrail. Good times. A local fellow just stopped, like pulled over in his car and offered to share some of his patches and stuff with us if we needed him to go home and pick some up, which was very nice. So, not too bad. It's a nice day. So, as you can see, Charlie is engaging in a cultural practice. As we ride along, we see people sitting on the side of the road having a chat and watching the traffic.
It's true. It's true. So I'm just sitting here watching the world go by.
Yeah.
Very contemplative.
Looks like if you're a person you want to have a chat, you just go and sit out the front of your house and people stop and say good day on the way past.
I'm looking across the road at a ruin and thinking how transient, you know, life is. We have all this ego, but you know, we're all dust in the end.
Bull dust, in your case.
Yes.
There's Charlie. And then there's the roomie. And there's the shower and the loo. And the bed thingy. And a little street outside.
Well, we left Coven this morning and we rode about 40 kilometres to here, the ferry crossing from the north bank to the south bank. And the ferry is pretty rudimentary, but we're just very happy it turned up. It's not like the Netherlands. And there's a restaurant next to it, it's really nice. There's a few other bike riders here waiting to go across. And very happy it turned up. It only comes once every 3 hours too, so we're glad we got here on time.
There's a doggy! So they're shoveling to smooth it out and make a nice surface for people to drive off onto. You might consider it. Here is the little boat that is pushing our barge. And you can see it's got lots of character. It's really cool. It's got a beautiful shape to it. Hi. Okay. So there's the roomie. There's a little bathroom and a little fridgey. And there's very orange. Oh, and we got air conditioning and stuff. So yeah, it's a cute little room. 17 euros. It was a very good deal.
We're in Serbia and it's less built up, but there's still these areas that are like obviously holiday areas for the Serbians. Behind us there's a bit of the river that they've dammed at both ends and it's sort of like a swimming lake. It's really large, but it used to be part of the river, and that's the river, the Danube. And it's a lot more wild here, you know, and even though we're staying in definitely a very touristy area, the rest of it's kind of like a bit wild and woolly and a long way between drinks. But it's like really nice and the weather is perfect, and we're definitely outside the tourist area now. The accommodation we're staying in tonight's like 17 euros a night and it's just lovely. And it's compact but got everything, and it's right near the water, and I'm just having a great time.
Can you tell people what you're seeing as we're riding along? Like, we've seen like shepherds and...
Yeah, we've seen shepherds, like you've seen stuff that, you know, I don't think it's changed for thousands of years. Like you've seen you know, flocks of sheep with not docked, so, you know, with their tails, and the shepherds, and, you know, cows and the shepherds sleeping in the shade. And, you know, we've seen people in the traditional sort of boats harvesting floating timber off the water. And in some of the smaller sort of side streams, we've seen quite large fish, you know, coming up, rising for the bugs and stuff like that. It's a very slow pace of life. That's what it seems like here.
Good morning.
Morning. Woke up with another flat tyre.
Just for a change.
So, and it's funny, the patch that I put on had a hole right through the middle of the patch. So I take it that the original thing that gave me the hole is still in there somewhere.
Oh.
So that's annoying. But we'll find it.
Poor Charlie. Not necessarily earth-shattering for you, but in some places like Australia, we don't have these. So this is a kettle. I know it doesn't look like one. It plugs into the wall. It doesn't have a lid or anything, and it's just got this element just in here. Can you see? There's like a little ridge. And yeah, like within a minute or two, it's boiling water. It's incredible. I've never seen one like this before. And it obviously costs 200 in the local currency, so that's a pretty good deal.
There's been a mutiny. The Kraken has, you know, just steadfastly demanded to stop. So she's not right. We've come like a good 10 kilometers from where we started this morning, maybe 15. And she has just had enough, and she's putting her foot down and saying she is not riding the next 65 kilometers.
See the wind?
You know, just because there's a slight headwind. You know, she's had to tie herself to the back of my bike so she just doesn't go away. So, I don't know, the troops are revolting and I'm giving way to their demands.
Yes, thanks to Charlie's flat tyre again, we didn't set off till 1 o'clock in the afternoon to ride 80 kilometres against a headwind and up and down hills. So I'm calling it. It's just nuts. So it's a little terrace, and there's Charlie. There's a little room. You go through. And there's another terrace on the other side, and there's a bathroom.
finished today's riding through the Iron Gates, and we've ridden about 60 kilometres, 65 kilometres today. It's all been road riding, and it's all been without any verge, so you know, you're on the road. The tarmac's been beautiful, and it's been beautiful, like views on both sides. I saw this old Roman inscription across the other side, you know, really big. Now this water's been dammed here, so you know, it's quite a wide expanse, so you're looking, you could almost think it's a little bit of a sea, you know, a small sea, but it's very beautiful. Yesterday I went from here to here.
Yeah.
And tomorrow and today we went from here to here, and then tomorrow we're probably going from here to here. Well, it's another start, which is fantastic. It's about 11 o'clock, and we've only got about 65 kilometres to ride today, with a bit of a hill in the middle. And we're staying in Serbia, but we're going to go into Romania soon. One of the things I want to talk about Serbia is, like, it feels really safe, and there's lots of options if you're a meat eater, but there's not very many if you're vegetarian. And the accommodation is very reasonable. And I don't know, it's like there's this whole thing of promenading, and it's just lovely. And the weather is beautiful again, but we've got a headwind, so I'm sure the Kraken will point that out to me later on. Between here and the next place, there's nothing. So it's just the road and us, which is what I like, but PJ's told me we have to stop every hour. But doesn't seem to be anywhere to buy anything or anything like that, so you should take some food with you and enough water.
Enjoy! I just stopped at a rest stop. Charles is ahead of me and he hasn't stopped on the way up. It's pretty hot and it's pretty high.
So we just had a ride, it was about 20 kilometres, but there was this massive hill in the middle of it. And I'm riding up it, and like, it's not that steep, it's just, you know, it's like 7 degrees up, and there's a couple of tunnels. But I have to stop because I'm sweating so much that I can't see, and every time I touch my hat, like sweat runs out of the hat straight into my eyes. And so I had to stop on the side of the road and sort of calm down and cool down. And then I got back on the bike, and within 200 metres I was doing it again, because, you know, it's hot. And then I got over the hill, came down, and then I thought I better wait for the Kraken. So I found a park up the road, and I lay down, and after about 30 minutes I get this phone call, because I'd ridden past 2 restaurants, even though I said there's no restaurants, we found some. And she got to a restaurant, she wasn't moving another inch. And she was like, where are you? What are you doing? I said, I'm only like 300 meters down the road. I'm waiting here. I'm waiting here. You come back.
I was just saying I would really, really like a cold drink, and that's all I
She said,
wanted.
come back or I'll tear your head off.
No, I didn't. Anyway, so, and meanwhile, the only way I can contact him is Skype, because he is a data hussy, and every time he gets data, he runs out.
So she doesn't give me any data.
He chooses not to buy himself new SIM cards because he knows what will happen within a couple of days. But so far, so good. We're going to cross a, I should not cross, but pass a bridge, which is a border connection to Romania soon, so I'll show you that. So that's the border crossing. I can't go in there and film because that's not the done thing. But as you can see, it's all very civil, and you can ride across. Here's our apartment. So we turn to the right. There's a little lounge room and dining area and a desk. Coming across, there is a bedroom, and coming in here we find a bathroom with a washing machine and a bathtub, and looking around in here, sorry I don't have the light on, is a kitchen with an oven and a fridge and a little sink. So we'll be here for 2 nights.
Just on the outskirts of town, there's another fortress. I'm just arriving, but it used to be moated. You can see the beginning of the moat over there. And what they've done is they've dug out the moat and made earthen banks that are backed by stone on both sides. This fortress, we rode past it the other day. It's truly huge, like in size. And as you go in, you can get an idea of the size. This is only like a tiny part of it. There's another, like, you know, kilometers of it off to the left. And on one side you've got the moat, and on the other side you've got the river. You can see the fortress part here, which they've turned into a sort of stage, which I think is just fantastic. You know, Europe's covered in all these old architectural monstrosities, and it's really great how they're repurposing them to still have a use in the 21st century. This picture gives you a kind of idea of the size of it, but that shipyard is part of it as well, so it goes quite a long way, and it's called the Fetishem Fortress. And it was built by the Ottomans in the 16th century, or that's when it started, and it was enlarged all the way through to World War II. Here's another fortress inside the fortress, and it would have been moated back in the day as well. So I think this is the one that was built by the Ottomans. So it's very traditional looking fortress, not to be mistaken with anything else. So this was more like a walled town, I've been told, since then. But there's hardly any of the town left. A military garrison town. There's the river there. That's the big town on the other side that's very heavily industried. It's very unattractive. But you know, it has its own beauties with all the cranes standing there like silent giant sentinels. And the river looks really nice here. What a beautiful place to have a stage. Has a real sense of theatre unto itself, with the fortifications above it and below it, and the river as the backdrop. Serbia is turning out to be quite a hidden jewel. It's not what I expected. That's Romania over there. This is the name of the town. You drive past it or ride past it as you're heading in, and the marina is just behind it. The marina is just a walled off part of the river to make a calm area. And then when you cross the road, and we've just come from the fortress, so it's maybe 200 meters away from here. And one of the interesting things I found out about the fortress was the name literally translates to the triumph of Islam. And that's what the Ottoman called the fortress when they first built it. And it was used to conquer parts of Hungary. So you kind of forget that, as well as Spain, you know, the Turks came up through this part of Europe as well. And then you have a beautiful ornamental pond, a really big one actually, a lake. Maybe pond is a bit of a misnomer. This town really seems quite prosperous, and there's quite a lot of building going on, and they seem very prideful of their town, and everything is well taken care of. And there's a couple of really nice boulevards full of restaurants. When we went out for breakfast this morning, it seems like the whole town was out eating breakfast in one of the malls. But it seems lovely. You know, the funny thing is, in this part of the place, you hardly see any ruins. You know, like when we're in the older part of Europe, well, I suppose they're all old, but yeah, quite a lot of ruins. But here, very few, and quite a lot of construction. But this is a beautiful park, a lot of seating, a lot of tables, very nice. That sign gives you an indication of the beach, you know, so there's a river beach here, and it's quite nice. This is one of the boulevards of restaurants, so it's very pretty. And then you go around the corner, and this goes for maybe 500 meters, and it's just full of restaurants and trees and seating areas and a few little shops, knick-knacky shoppies, but very nice. This is the one we went to this morning that was full of for breakfast. Well, there's quite a lot here now for early tea. It's about 5 o'clock now. A bit overcast today.
Good morning. Today we're going from Kladovo to Negotin. Matt.
It's been really good. PJ spent 99% of it inside the apartment, which has been lovely. So I've had a lot of exploring by myself, which has been fun, you know, and oh, this accommodation is like perfect. It's really good. We'll leave you a link to it, and it's just wonderful.
There's the bathroom. €30 with breakfast for 2. We just had a freshly made salad sandwich or 2 salad sandwiches and 1 juice, and it was 350 dinars. What do you think so far, Charlie?
Well, my first impressions are this is a very poor country. So when we rode over the border in Serbia, I thought, oh, it's poor, you know, like it's poor. But as I went on, I found that, you know, it is a poor country, but it's quite vibrant and everything like that. So far, we've been through about 5 towns. Now, we might just have struck it unlucky, but all these towns look on the verge of collapse. And none of them look like they've got any sort of wealth attached to them. Now, one of the interesting things is the road is not new, but it's in very good condition, and there's hardly any cars, you know.
Not a lot of wear and tear.
So I think even though it's old, because it gets hardly any traffic, even though this is a highway, you know, the road holds up very well. And we rode for about an hour and maybe 5 cars went past.
There's a lot of mozzies beside the Danube.
It was really good, really fantastic riding so far. Probably some of the best riding we've had, even though we're going into a headwind. Slow rolling hills, no steep gradients. Crossing the border was good. It was very quiet. Both of the places looked like they were falling into ruin, the border crossings.
Yeah.
Not.
Oh, actually, the one in Serbia, that was pretty tidy. They had a nice garden in part of their compound. That was pretty cool.
But it was a bit ho-hum. But definitely the one in on this side, Bulgaria, was definitely a bit run down. And then you went into quite a large town that was kind of on its last legs.
Oh, sorry, it was the one in Bulgaria that had the nice garden, I forget. One for Serbia had like a really, really, really cool customs professional, and I have a huge girl crush. She was like multilingual and like really just efficient and friendly and beautiful and like really awesome. She was great.
Peter's always amazed when a woman can be as good as a man.